Hello and welcome back to video 2 of the Beaches and Books Readathon 2024 Middle School Edition. So just as a reminder, this is a summer readathon for July of 2024, and it is actually hosted by Paperbacks and Ponytails, Creatively Faithful, Christian Faith and Fiction, The Lucy Chronicles, and Celestria. And I emailed Katie at Paperback and Ponytails and just told her that I'm a former teacher and kind of wanted to see if it would be okay if I kind of added like a middle grade twist to this and extended it out to my former students and their families, and she very graciously said that was fine. So you are either in that group that I actually know you, which hi if I do, and if you happen to be sent over from them, hopefully you're gonna find some good middle grade book recommendations in this video. And originally it was just gonna be one video, but when I put everything, all the clips together, it was like 40 minutes. And I thought nobody wants to sit through a 40-minute video. So I made the first video, which is just explaining what middle grade books are, the age that typically reads those types of books, the types of themes and characters that you would find in the books. In this video, I'm going to name the 12 prompts in this Beaches and Books Readathon, and then I'm just gonna list 2 books for each prompt because already that's 24 books, which takes up a lot of time. And they may be books you enjoy or not enjoy, but they're books that you might want to find under the prompt. And then in video 3, which will come up later in this week, I will put up my TBR, so the 12 books that I'm gonna read for this readathon. So anyways, we're gonna go to a quick outfit change because this intro is actually the editing, Mary. So then we're gonna switch over to the original video in just a minute. I'll see you over there. Bye. So here are the 12 prompts for this. So first is pick a book from the library. I'm just gonna throw out or bookstore. A book that you saved for later, a book that made waves in the community or some sort of lasting impact on the community, a book that you think will be 5 stars, a book about friends, and then they said it could also be about family. So I think my suggestions will be both books about friends and family. A book with an underwater setting, a book with a sun or yellow on the cover, a book with royalty or a castle on the cover, a book about sports, a book with 2 points of view, and a book to read during a rainstorm, and the last one is a book set in a beach town. So first I'm gonna go through some recommendations, 2 for each prompt. Some of them only have 1. I didn't read a lot about sports, so we'll see. But the first one, pick a book from the library. So I have 2 books for that. The Prairie Thief. This is a really fun book that is kind of a cross between like prairie, fantasy, and mystery. It is just a really fun book. We have a little gnome on the front. The other is Half Magic, and depending on your age, you may have read this as a child too. And it is about 4 siblings who find this little token, and it is magical, but it only works in halves. So as you can see by the cover, we are going to have some crazy adventures until they figure out that they need to double their wish. Otherwise, there's lots of problems. So those are 2 fun books to just pick up from the library or pick up from a bookstore. So next is a book that you saved for later. So for this, one of my favorite books of all time, Cicely Jenkins, Future Author Extraordinaire. I love this book. This is about a biracial little girl who is an only child, and I believe she's in 3rd grade when the story starts, and her mom is going to have a baby, and she is up against a tight deadline because she is afraid that she is going to be forgotten when her mom has her new baby. And so she needs to become a world famous author extraordinaire so that she will not be forgotten and she will leave her mark on this world. And this book is hilarious and delightful and charming and just perfect in every way. And it is a series. So if you love this one, you may like the other books in the series as well. Another book that is super fun and a great adventure is called The Candy Shop War. This is also a trilogy, and this is a book about a group of friends who kind of stumble upon this magical candy shop and get in a little bit over their head and go on some wild adventures. And then they have to figure out how to get out from under the control of this magical candy lady. Super fun. This is also a pretty thick book and a trilogy. In my tutoring group, all of the kids loved this, and only the first 2 books were out at the time we were reading this book together. And every week we met, they were like, is the new book out yet? Is the new book out yet? It is out. So if you fall in love with this book, you will definitely love the trilogy. All right, the next prompt is books that made waves in the community. So let me grab that. So for this, I kind of saw that prompt as something that's like controversial, which I don't really like controversy, so I don't really read a lot of those kinds of books. But so I took it more of like books that made a lasting impression, that maybe have impacted the community and passed the test of time. So the first one I picked is A Wrinkle in Time. And again, this is a classic, which is why I picked it. This is like science fiction, and so I don't know, it's hit and miss. Some kids read this and really don't like it, and I think it's just like they're just kind of not ready for it yet. I kind of think older teens maybe appreciate it a little bit more, but definitely some point in childhood should be read. And it's just fantasy, science fiction, lots of adventures to overcome. It's a great book. And then I'm gonna introduce this. This publisher is Sweet Cherry, and I really like this publisher. They have redone several classics, and so for this prompt I picked the Sherlock Holmes, because I was like, I don't think anybody has impacted the mystery writing world more than Sherlock Holmes, and so that's why I picked this for this prompt. But in general, this Sweet Cherry publisher, they have rewritten books for middle grade age from the classics. Well worth looking into. You can see the font is a little bit larger. There's still lots of white space on the page. There's still some illustrations kind of scattered throughout, and all of those things make a book less intimidating to children, and so also more appealing. So this is what we're kind of giving a try also. So our next prompt is a book that you think will be 5 stars, and I absolutely could not do this without giving a shout out to Chronicles of Narnia. I don't have that one with me. I'm gonna put up all of the whole series because I think the whole series is 5 stars. But if you only have time for one, Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, of course, would be the one to start with. The other 5 star that I'm gonna give is A Place to Hang the Moon. Interestingly, a lot of people draw parallels between the 2 books, so I thought it was kind of fitting to put them both with the 5 stars. So both take place around World War II with the London bombings, and so children are sent off into the country out of London. So both have the similar setting, and this is just a charming and delightful, so well written story about these 3 siblings looking for a true home. And really, A Place to Hang the Moon is a place where they can land because they are orphans and they're looking for a true lasting home. And just a wonderful, beautiful, satisfying book in every way. So highly recommend this one also. Right, we are moving right along. Also, I have a meeting in like 10 minutes, so we're gonna get through this and then take a time out and then circle back. The next prompt is a book about friends or family, and I could not think of a better book about friends than Charlotte's Web. So I don't have a copy of it. I'll put it up on the screen. I think we're all familiar with Charlotte's Web, but I just think just friendship, loyalty, I mean everything. The book is perfection. So that is my first book about friends. My second book is actually kind of about bullies and I guess what it means to be a real friend by not being a bully. And if you are, depending on your age, again, you may have read this as a child, but it's called 100 Dresses, and it is, I think, a book that every child should read in their childhood. And this book is just so poignant and stays with you, I think, the rest of your life, and really just is such a reminder of you don't know everybody's story, and what people kind of project into the world is not always the reality. And this book is so short. I don't know how many pages is this book, less than 100. Definitely worth reading for every child. So the next prompt is a book with an underwater setting, and I literally couldn't think of any. So this is the only book that I'm going to throw out there that I haven't read. It's called Daughter of the Deep. I don't even have it, so I'll put it up over here. And it's by Rick Riordan. I like him. I think he's a fun author. I heard part of the book on audiobook as like a promo thing that they were doing, and it sounded really good and really intriguing, very Rick Riordan-esque, so fantasy, things like that might be worth a try. The next prompt is a book with a sun or yellow cover, and so I'm going to have two here. So the first is The Mysterious Benedict Society. This is also quite the tome. But when I was looking for prompts for the students that I tutor, and they are all like getting ahead, so all gifted kids in that group, and so I was like, what would kind of like attract and appeal to that type of student? And this was the first book that popped up, and it's just a group of like highly intelligent children solving mysteries, and they worked for this I think he goes by Mr. Benedict, and so he like sends out this advertisement to come to this like testing center, and the kids go through like a series of tests, and then some are selected, and then he puts them together and sends them out on this mission. And it's very fun. There are, I think, 4 or 5 books in the series. Super fun. So the other is new to me, and this takes place in England, and I wouldn't say Victorian England, but definitely more of like carriages and buggies kind of feel. Very fun mystery. It's called The Clockwork Sparrow, The Sinclair Mysteries. And if you are looking for a good, cozy, satisfying mystery, 100% would recommend this. The characters are all really likable, interesting, and I don't know, I just loved this book. I think there's 3 or 4 in the series, and I will actually finish reading the series. So the next prompt is a book with royalty or a castle. So The Castle in the Attic, another old book. This is really fun. They're all really fun. That's why I picked them to share with you. But this book, the main character becomes miniature and has a grand adventure in a castle. So also fantasy, but like overcoming, that definitely themes of good and evil, overcoming, like extending beyond yourself. So good. And main character is a boy in this one. This book I love. This was actually recommended to me by one of my students, and I think the book originally was written in German. The author is from Germany, and then it's a translated work. Igraine the Brave. I don't actually know how to say her name fully. I think I tend to gravitate to fantasy books, and this is definitely high fantasy. And you have a magical family book with all of their magical spells in it that, of course, this evil villain wants to get, and the main character needs to find it within herself to defend this book and her family's castle to the end. And it is really wonderful. And it's just delightful, like, just again, really likable characters. The villains aren't too scary, but yeah, you have some like outwitting and some suspense. Very, very fun. The last one before I jump off and head to my meeting is a book about sports. And so I don't read apparently books about sports. So I'm gonna throw out this one, Knights and Dinosaurs, because I feel like you need to be athletic to be a knight. So I'm gonna go with it. This book is hilarious, and I do think you need like a little bit of maturity. Like, I almost think it's funnier for adults who are gonna understand the humor more. So read it with your child, but it is so funny and so engaging. It's pretty short, and when you sit down to start reading it, you're gonna wanna read the whole thing. So definitely recommend that. The other one is a real sports book called Free Baseball, and this book is delightful. You have a boy who is Cuban, and yes, both parents are from Cuba. Sorry, getting a message there. Both parents are from Cuba, and dad is still in Cuba. Mom and the son are in America. You just have like a lot of that, like, who's my dad kind of pain and hurt, a love for baseball, but just such a heartwarming, delightful book of love all around by both parents, and just how they take care of this boy. And then the ending is just like warms your heart forever. But if you have a son who loves baseball, this is just such a fabulous book. I highly recommend. All right, so we left off with a book about sports, and now we are heading into a book with 2 points of view, and I don't have hard copies of either of those because I read them on my Kindle. But the first one is Glitch by Laura Martin, and I love everything written by Laura Martin. I wish that she was more well-known. I think she writes some great books. So Glitch is another high fantasy, and each chapter alternates the point of view of the two main characters. So I'll put that over here somewhere. And the other book is a trilogy. Melissa Min, I think, is the name of the trilogy. I'll put it up over here. And each book is standalone, but each book is a different point of view from a different character. And again, I read it in one of our tutoring groups, and they loved it. And this is realistic fiction. So if you like realistic fiction, then this one's for you. All right, so the next prompt is to read during a rainstorm. And so I picked two like shorter books because I figured, rainstorm's gonna last for a couple hours maybe, and so you want something you can read in a shorter amount of time. And they did say if you don't live in an area where there's rainstorms, like while you're taking a bath or something, just like close to water. So the first one is The Willoughbys, and again, this book is so funny. So this is by Lois Lowry. I don't know how to say her last name, but she wrote like The Giver and Number the Stars, and so she wrote some like really serious, really great books. I don't know if she's written a bad book. And but this book is I think they said a parody on like old-fashioned books where the children are orphaned and like go to live with a family member. And so there's so many jokes, like especially if you read some of the older classics, like there's so many references and jokes in this book, and it is so funny. And I just love this book, and it is such a fast read. Once you start it, you're not going to want to put it down. Definitely could read it during a rainstorm. And the other is Mary Poppins. And so this is just kind of a fun little classic, again, like very whimsical. It kind of mixes realistic fiction with a little bit of magic, and I think it's better than the movie, maybe. It's just if you don't like the singing, if you're like not like I like watching musicals and you just want to read the book, it's a really fun read. And there's also sequels to this one too. And the last prompt in their Beaches and Books Readathon is a book set in a beach town, very appropriate. And again, finding a middle grade book that is set in the beach town was a little bit challenging. So I thought Island of the Blue Dolphin, you can't go wrong with that. It is, I think it's like loosely based on a true story. and it's not Catalina Islands, but it's some island off the coast of California. And about a Native American woman who is like left on the island, and I think her and her brother, and it's kind of like a survival story a little bit. It's really good. It definitely has some tear-jerking moments. So if you are maybe sensitive to some of the harder topics and realities of life, be prepared to cry. But it is a timeless, wonderful book that is worth a read. And then Trumpet of Swan, I don't know. I thought we just gotta throw it in there, and it's a delightful book. Fantasy, obviously, we have talking animals. Animals that can read, write, and talk, but takes place near lakes. I don't know. It was so hard to find middle grade books on the beach. Well, thank you for getting this far into the video. Hopefully you found something either super nostalgic that like brought back childhood memories for you that maybe you want to sneak into this readathon and add it to your mix, or you found something new that might be fun to give a try and read. But either way, hopefully you are walking away with some good book recommendations. And like I said, video 3 will pop up sometime next week, and I'm gonna go through all the books that I hopefully will get through in this readathon. So thanks again for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.